At Saratoga, this is Loose on the Lead with Steve Bick and Seth Merrow. Loose on the Lead is sponsored by
Good morning. Welcome to day number 1 for Loose on the Lead. Day number 4 at the racetrack. Day number 1 for Loose on the Lead. Seth Merrow and Steve Bick. Steve, good morning.
Seth,
welcome back.
Thank you.
Year number 54.
It can't be longer than we've either of us have been alive, or when we. This has been a matter of long debate. How many years we've done this?
Mormino asked me on the show, and I said, I don't know the exact. But I said, it goes back to, we were doing it every week in the studio in Schenectady for a while, and every week you'd bring in donuts. You missed the donuts.
And I'm trying to think of where I would pick them up now.
It was Bella, Napoli, and Troy, maybe?
Yes, probably. Yeah. On River Road. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Or the occasional cider donut. Your favorite. That's your personal favorite.
I do love cider donuts. The radio bars, which I'd never had until you brought them in.
That's a Bella. I love these places that try to pass them off like they make them. The Roma, the Cardona now, right? Cardona Market in town. They've got stuff from Bella Napoli, and the radio. Oh, these are our specialty. They're not your specialty. They're a specialty. But, yeah.
And up in your neck of the woods, is it hand melon time?
Please. Are you going to make me go off on a hand melon? I mean, we're seconds into the show, and yes, okay. The hand family, the market, it's also known as a Jersey melon or a musk melon. They somehow created a mystique about those melons. It's just a melon. The best story is I remember bringing one up to my friend Genevieve in Montreal and talking about the hand melon, and I get up there and cut it up, and for her and her mom, she takes one bite. She goes, "This is a cantaloupe." You know what? You're right. You're right. It's a cantaloupe that they somehow are charging by the pound for the thing. Where they weigh it. That's $7.95. It's a cantaloupe. Relax. It's BJ Farms out in Greenwich. It's very funny actually. They were also doing the same melon. But they were putting them in baskets and selling them for $2 a melon, and now they got smart, and now they're basically selling them by the pound now. For years at Carolina Barbecue, I would pick up like 5 or 6, and I'd have them, off the menu. For people like you would come by, and I'd make that special Seth Merrow plate, and
I do miss the barbecue.
Well, that's because you never had to pay.
Yeah, it was good food.
But you never had to pay. That was the part you liked best.
I'm emphasizing the good food.
But I used to pick up the melons, and a couple of years ago, this little miniature. Have you seen the miniature melon?
No. Like a miniature cantaloupe?
Yes. No. It was a sugar cube or a sugar baby. It's a cantaloupe about this big, size of like a duck pin bowling ball. Out of this world. And there was a guy in Grangerville, right in that little hamlet before you get to Schuylerville, and he had like a small RV, and he was growing stuff in the backyard, including these little baby. They were, so sweet, and you literally could spoon right to the rind. Out of this world. I tell you what, I'm off to a slow start a little bit. I've had some decent winners at the meet these first 3 days, but I am on a run of picking watermelons. I am 4 for 4 so far this summer with my watermelon selection at the market. I am beside myself.
And that's big, because I was on vacation up in Maine last week with my sister, and we were talking melons, and we were both saying, you're hit and miss with melons.
I've had years.
It's a hit.
Exactly. And so somebody taught me you need the yellow belly, the nice little yellow tint, that one spot, and also flattish. And if you are weighing some the same size, the heavier the better. I have so far bought 4 watermelons since the weather got nice, 4 for $4, and the one that I cut into yesterday, I mean, like candy, like candy. So this is you know, when you're struggling a little bit with the selections and with the multi-race wagers, you got to take your wins where you can.
Score with the melon.
You went up to Maine, and were you scouting for a new vacation house for Tina and I?
Tina, yeah. Well, you had a perfectly good vacation.
We had a fabulous vacation. We had but nothing beat the week we would get at the Merrow estate. You know, the Bushes have Kenny Bunkport. The Merrows had Falmouth, and they sold the thing out from under us.
Right on the water.
Unbelievable.
But, just
unbelievable
life up there. But we rented a nice place a little further down by a sister and her family and whatnot.
Well, rent being the operative word.
I missed the place up there in Falmouth, but we made the best of it. Sat on the beach a little bit. Had some nice weather. As I say, looking at Twitter, I saw you had some nice weather down in Mexico, and then took the car up Route 66.
Unbelievable experience. In fact, I should have sent the pictures. By the way, note the golden U, right? Huh?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen me this tan?
No.
Huh? Have I ever looked better?
No.
I'm telling you, a week in Mexico where if I get a tan, then you know, you can, because I am not one to tan. Tina literally, the plane landed in Cancun, and I looked over at her, and she was brown. It was weird. It was surreal. She didn't even have to lay out in the sun to get there.
Walked off the runway or walked off the...
Exactly. Then we flew to Phoenix, rented a convertible, and made our way toward Flagstaff to drive Route 66, something I've always wanted to do. And we didn't get the whole 2,600 miles. You know, technically, you're supposed to go Chicago to LA. So we picked it up in Arizona and made our way toward Chicago, and I had to go to Indiana to Horseshoe for Derby, Indiana Derby, so Thursday and Friday. So we had to get to Indianapolis by Wednesday night. So it's really Saturday to Wednesday. We had to cover a fair amount of ground. It's a bittersweet experience because Route 66 itself is not, you know, it doesn't exist. It was decommissioned in the 70s, and really I-40, which goes coast to coast, I-40 kind of replaced it.
I didn't realize that.
I-40 pretty much replaced it. However, there's certain parts, I mean, you can get off I-40 in Arizona and in New Mexico and go into the towns and get little snippets in the towns that 66 passed through. But once you hit Oklahoma, you can basically go Route 66, the actual road, from Oklahoma to Chicago with very few interruptions at that point. You know, there's parts of it that is sad. I mean, where there's these little towns that have been, you know, devastated by the loss of that traffic, and so there's these ruins, you know, gas stations and trading posts and diners and rest stops. And I mean, I happen to like that. You know, there's a whole abandoned photography thing out there that people enjoy, and I like it. But then there's parts that have been either restored and renovated or are still existing and doing well, particularly restaurants, you know, burger drive-ins, Wayland's Cuckoo Burger in Miami, Oklahoma. We stopped there for a burger right before seeing the childhood home of Mickey Mantle in Commerce, the Commerce Comet. That was fabulous. You learn things, you see things that are amazing. Who knows about the Transcontinental Foot Race?
I did not.
1928, across the country, a foot race. And a kid by the name of Andy Payne from Foyle, Oklahoma, won it. An amazing, a high schooler, graduate, you know, high school runner from this little tiny town. Just amazing. There's markers for that kind of stuff. And drove through Baxter Springs, Kansas, that the home of boyhood home of Hale Irwin. We stopped at the Will Rogers, amazing, the Will Rogers Library. It had so many experiences in just this 5-day period. Then got to St. Louis, went to the Arch. Had never, as many times I've been to St. Louis, had never gone up in the Arch.
What is that like exactly?
Oh, it's incredible. It's crazy. They have like these little, it's like these little cable car pods, almost, you know, up here when you're driving past certain places that manage to buy those chairlift or the the gondola, the little gondolas from Gore Mountain.
Yeah.
And they're all over upstate New York. And it's like a little gondola, and they put 5 people in, and it goes up the Arch, and it pulls up to the top, and then you get out, and you get about 10 minutes at the top. It's crazy. It was really neat. I've been to St. Louis a million times and had never done that. Tina wanted to do it.
You say you're supposed to go from Chicago to LA, so is the better stuff on the other side of the street?
Not necessarily. It's just that if you're going west to east, you have to sort of read the guidebooks backwards.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's almost like Hebrew, where you instead of reading right to left, it's sort of left to right, and you're jumping forward and going this way instead of down.
I have the old AAA triptych. I used to do that.
Well, that's what the most useful guide about Route 66 is this easy guide. It's called, and there's people who have made a business, a career out of the Route 66 tourism. So many people at the racetrack already in 3 days, and since we made this trip, I've had emails and comments on social media, people saying that they've always wanted to do it. There'll be parts that'll be a little disappointing, but then there'll be parts that you'll be like amazed and thrilled that you did. We still have more to do. We still have to go from Flagstaff to San Bernardino. So if you ever plan to motor west, take my advice. That's the highway that's the best.
Very good. Very.
I'm not going to sing.
Santa Monica.
Yes, at the pier. At the pier, exactly.
Sign.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see the little signs, all over. It's amazing. Chicago. We started. We swung back and went up after Indiana. We went back to Chicago to get to Chicago. Tina had never been to St. Louis, Indianapolis, or Chicago, so she got the major. She loved it. I've told her for years, you're going to love Chicago, and she was blown away.
Pizza.
We did find there's a newish joint called Roberts, which is down on one of the canals off the river, basically coming off the lake. That has got a growing reputation, and I took her there and took her to Rosebud on Rush, an old standby. She got a lot of the classics. We found a place for those of you that are St. Louis, have any reason to be in St. Louis. We found a place called Frank Papa's, P-A-P-A, Frank Papa's. Unbelievable.
Whatever city it is, you know the best place.
You don't have to worry about me. We got to Ted Drew's, the famous frozen custard joint. Of course, upstate New York people don't need pushes on frozen custard, but Ted Drew's frozen lemonade too. And we got onion burger, famous onion burgers in El Rosa, Oklahoma, just west of Oklahoma City. There's places that date from the 20s. You know how they've made these smash burgers?
Yeah.
They were doing that in the 20s. El Rosa, Oklahoma, 3 places: Robert's Grill, which is where we were, Sid's, and Johnny's. And they're still making the same burger. They take thinly sliced onions, pile them on the burger, smash it all down, incorporate the onion in the burger. 2 patties, ideally, is perfect. It was a good trip.
Very good.
Trust me.
A couple weeks away. Folks are happy you're back on the radio.
Nah, I don't know.
They are.
They're happy when you're back.
And speaking of that, I was did the radio with you live on the front side the other day, and you handed me the promised tie. So I have to thank our friend Sally Ellen Hurst from Country Life Farm.
Country Life Farm, absolutely. And Sally Ellen, people will recognize it as that's Embrace the Race. Yeah, Embrace the Race thing. But listen, anything that augments your wardrobe, the public is well served.
I thought I looked in the closet today, and I was saying the perfect day for the Saratoga.
I came this close. But
nice, hot, warm.
I'm glad I didn't, because we would.
Yeah, that would be bad.
It would be like a scene out of Oklahoma. Or
I will say, Sally Ellen, you were holding on to this for me, and you gave it to me the other day. But the night before you handed it to me, she sent me a package with some more ties that she wants me to wear on your behalf on this show. So you're out next week, right? So starting the week after, I'll plug a couple of those ties in.
Well, then, does that mean that you're going to go the whole summer? You're going to go 40 days and not wear the same tie twice?
That may be asking too much.
Exactly. Exactly. It may be, not maybe asking too much.
Let's get into some of the racing. Why don't we take a look at the feature yesterday, Diana, and kind of kick off some thoughts there. It was a big day, obviously, for Chad Brown, and that included the Diana. We'll take a look at the stretch run there. It'll be number 6 in Italian. Number 1, technical analysis second. Bleecker Street third. Rozier fourth. So Chad in the Superfecta. I said on the handicapper support, you know, he's asked about entering a bunch of his horses against each other. He said, they're all working well. And Mike, he essentially said his philosophy was kind of, let's let them, decide it on the track. And that's, to him, better than kind of cherry picking and then having some what ifs afterwards. So there's 4 horses here, 1, 2, 3, 4, with In Italian getting done. I saw you after the race, and you said you picked up a little bit of In Italian at 8-1. So a nice price there. Joel Rosario on board.
The 8-1 was absolutely crazy. Marcus Hirsch and I discussed this horse at length on Friday at the show, because I have Marcus on for his DRF game plan, where he picks 3 stakes every weekend. And in fact, on Thursday night, I had said to him, I see you like In Italian. I'm all over her. And, people say things that are silly. Chad, they picks and they don't pick and choose. However, you can project when it comes to the situation that Chad has to deal with for his owners when he has these multiple horses. A horse like In Italian that has been moving forward is a lot more likely for me, and especially if they're going to be, the second or third choice, in this case, the 4th choice. Yeah. When that happens, it happened with the one with the 4 names. Speak of the Devil, something of the Sea. Whenever you see a Chad horse like this that is making progress and is going to have to improve to win against a lot of his, potentially a lot of his other horses, that's the one I want. And that was the thought here. I also like the idea of Rosario being in a position from the outside to evaluate if there was going to be any other pressure, notably from technical analysis, who did figure to be potentially the other speed. In reality, it turned out that he got to keep control, and they went in solid splits. I mean, those are very respectable splits. Note, however, that turf course is well baked.
Yeah,
you're talking about a fast. I mean, this is a new course record. And that was set in serious splits.
I liked Rozier, and Chad in the winner's circle after the race said Rozier the course was too hard.
There you go. That also plays in, especially with the ones, you had 4 that you had a Great Britain bred, a Irish bred, a French bred, and Bleecker Street. It's kind of funny. So everybody, has a different preference in terms of the footing. So In Italian figured on a firm turf course, she was going to take some catching, and I love the way Rosario took control and never let them, get to her, essentially. One of my pet peeves when it comes to horses that you pick on the front end, don't rate on a lead. Let them use their speed, make everybody else chase, and then quicken off the turn and now make them desperate. And you don't mute. You hear Andy talk about this all the time.
Yeah,
Don't take away a horse's best tool.
I completely appreciate the aggressive ride and to go out and kind of take hold of it and make them come get you. Yeah, no question about it. Why don't we take a break? We'll get back into some more.
Great, we just started.
It seems like we just started, but I'm looking at the clock. Quick break. We'll come back in a few and again, kind of take a little overview of the first few days here at the Saratoga meet. Stay tuned. Loose on the Lead is underway. Seth, Merrow, and Steve Dick. We'll be back in a moment.
We're out of control already.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
The Clubhouse Racebook is the Capital Region's new home for racing and sports. 25,000 square feet of Vegas-style action with live wagering on the best horse racing from around the world. 260 flat-screen televisions and state-of-the-art wagering terminals. So don't miss out. The fun is only minutes away at 711 Central Avenue, Albany, just off exit 5 of I-90. And don't forget, if you can't make it to the Clubhouse, you can always wager online 24/7 at capitalotv.com.
I'm Seth Merrow, and as serious horse players, we know that information is critical when placing a bet. With live streaming of more than 30 tracks, race replays, free past performances, and daily picks from professional handicappers, no one gives you more up-to-the-minute information than Capital OTB. Combine that with the best player awards in New York State, and you have everything a serious horse player needs to be successful. Win more with Capital OTB. Winning starts here. Welcome back to Loose on the Lead. Seth Merrow and Steve Bick again kicking off the season. And as I say, you're headed out for Haskell next week, right?
Yeah, it won't be as bad as last year where I missed, I think 3 out of 7.
Because the NHC had that funny date last year, too.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's right. That's true. So we not only did we miss.
Go ahead. Well, I have to meet. Yeah,
you beat Bick?
Well, now I have to go back and look. Did I beat Bick? I entered, but count the contest a little bit because there's a bonus this year.
Well, it's actually kind of cool. And you've heard us talk about Beat Bick the last 3 years. This is an NHC qualification. It's a free roll. I mean, you don't spend a nickel, although you do have to be a tour member. Now, however, there's even a benefit to that with Beat Bick. The way this works, these 8 weeks of the summer, basically, of Saratoga and Del Mar, and I'll probably throw in a Ellis and whatnot, but I pick a horse on Saturday and Sunday. Yesterday, I picked Andiamo a Firenze in the Sanford. You could come with me. You can pick the same horse as me, and if we win, you're qualified. If you pick a different horse and it wins, you also are qualified. And if you do that and you're not a tour member yet, you can join for $10 instead of $50. This is right up your alley.
Wow, I'm already a member.
You're already a member, but for those of you that are not tour members for the NHC,
that's a great deal.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, don't join until you've tried to beat me essentially and pick a winner. Actually, today I had picked one timer, not knowing if Larry Ravelli was going to run here or in Jersey. And I checked with Ravelli earlier. He is running one timer. You can scratch one timer out of the quick call today, but he is keeping no balls here. No balls will run here. One timer runs at Monmouth. No balls, I think, is very live.
Oh yeah.
No very low. What's his price actually? 9-2. He'll be lower than that now with one timer out. So I had picked one timer, and my alternate happens to be the favorite, Big Invasion. I would love to switch to no balls because that's really, Ravelli is as sharp a guy as there is. The contest runs for 8 weeks. You only have to beat me once or come along with me if you agree with my selection. Then on September 17th, which Tina's going to really appreciate. It's our wedding anniversary, and I'm going to end up having to follow the 12 races carefully on that. It's usually a pretty big Saturday of racing, and we'll have the final then. So you qualify over the next 8 weeks, and then you play in the final. Not only do you get the chance at the seat, if you then come to Vegas in March,
This is incredible.
you have a chance not only to win the $700,000, but John Unick of Insurance Offices of America, he has put up $1 million bonus if you're the Beat Bic representative and you win the NHC. You're going to win $1.7 million.
That is crazy. I saw the bonus and I said, yeah, we gotta tout it a little bit on the show. So how often do the Beat Bic opportunities
Every
come
Saturday
up?
and Sunday.
Every Saturday
and Sunday. NTRA.com/NHC/BeatBic.
I entered yesterday just by going to Google and typing in NHC Beat Bic, I think, something, so you can find it pretty easily. But if somebody beats you once, they're in.
You're in.
Okay.
The first year we did it, you could qualify multiple times, but that got to be kind of ridiculous. So now you only have to qualify once, and once you're qualified, you wait for September 17th. Although there are points, weekly points. There's credit. There's horseplayers.com contest credit for the top 3 finishers during the season, during the Beat Bic season.
Okay.
So play along, because it's fun. It's fun to Beat Bic. Ask Tina. Hey now.
But yeah, when I read that, I thought, oh wow, $1 million. Boy, it's
very cool. That John Unick has, and he does all those crazy guarantees, like when they put up a bonus, for I'm sure Haskell. The bonus there was the bonus that was done if the horse that won the Haskell won Derby. In fact, was that Authentic? Did he do that? Who did that? Somebody, whenever there's those crazy Lloyds of London, it used to be, whenever you see those bonuses around horse racing, it's John Unick that has put the money. He's the insurer.
Well, I'm in. I'm taking my shot.
Well, I would love for you to win this because, you'd be obliged to give me a good portion. And we could do. You would buy a vacation house in Maine for us.
There you go. Yeah, I like that idea. Let's get back to the racing and just kind of give a little overview of the first few days.
What about the rest of the stakes? What about the Sanford?
The Sanford I was going to wait because we got Brad coming over.
Brad Cox, we're vamping a little bit because Dave O'Rourke was going to join us, and he got called into some kind of an emergency session. So we're going to wait for. All right, so we'll wait for Brad. That's fine.
And we can show the skyline in 1 minute, but I just wanted to give a little overview of the first few days.
Right.
Weather-wise, it's been gorgeous with that funky shower on day one.
That was crazy.
That poured before the opener back on Thursday. And then sun came out. It was a gorgeous day, and it's been gorgeous ever since. Opening day, 28,000 plus. Friday, 24,000. The announced attendance for yesterday, 30,000. They've not only been turning out, they have been betting. The handle's been crazy. That the carryover and the money into the carryover for the pick sixes has just been nuts. But the pick fives have been getting big pools as well. So people were looking forward to coming back and looking forward to playing so far.
Well, there's a lot in the formula that just works. Full fields goes a long way, and hopefully. Keith and Andrew Burns and Frank Gabriel can, keep the pedal down and keep filling these races. But when you've got the 2 turf courses, you have the opportunity essentially to, offer an outlandish number of turf races. There is the turf. The one thing that I think got lost a little bit, and even for me yesterday, I had forgotten about day 2 of the $3 turf pick 3. And we talked about it with Joe Longo on the radio Friday. The turf pick 3, for instance, today you're talking about races 5, 7, and 8 are the turf pick 3 today. The added higher increment, and earlier this spring at Belmont, it was the last 3 turf races. It will not necessarily be the last 3 turf races. It'll be the best fields and the most interesting opportunities.
Oh, okay.
So for today, for instance, there's the New York Bred Allowance Turf Sprint is the 5th. The 7th is another state bred going a mile and 16th long on the turf, which I love. And in fact, my DePaula play of the day is in this race. Bella Principessa 10-1. That is a wide open. We'll maybe touch on a couple of spots today. I think we'll have time. I thought Bella Principessa was live in here with Rosario sticking. She's been back on the turf. 10-1 for Bella Principessa, the 3 in race 7. And then the stake, the quick call, those are the 3 races for the $3 turf pick 3. The racing, I saw somebody write something on Twitter that was just, I just kind of burst out laughing how much fun it is to come to Saratoga, but the betting product isn't that compelling. What races are you looking at exactly? The racing has been very compelling. We haven't even really had the kind of 2-year-old, maiden action that I think we're going to build up to. Smallish groups.
So far, the first 3 days, favorites are winning at 25%. So that is not an outlandish number by any. You're expecting 33 to be about the norm, and they're below that over the first 3 days.
Well, and not only that, when you get horses like you had yesterday from Chad Brown, when you get shutters paying $14 and $18 on in Italian, so even not that we need favorites to be successful, but even popular outfits that get bet are going to provide opportunity. So if you're not finding the racing compelling and the betting opportunities intriguing, then you need a new hobby.
Yeah, that's a head scratcher, that one. All right, let's take a look at the opening day. One of the opening day features, the Schuylerville Saratoga, all about the 2-year-olds and 2-year-old fillies faced off there. I took a little shot with me in my shadow, the Mark Cassie runner coming down from Woodbine, but the surface, which was going to be a question mark. I had a door in the mix, then I had Jess Cindy, but Jess Cindy, wow, she looked good. I thought the Wayne Lucas horse, Summer Promise, I thought both of these top 2. Jess Cindy's going to be the number 1. Summer Promise, the number 9. Janice Joplin, the number 5. But again, I thought the top 2 will move on nicely and will prove to be nice little 2-year-old fillies as we get into the later portion of the summer. But certainly Jess Cindy. Career start number 2, career win number 2 for Eddie Keneally, Irad Ortiz on board. And again, it was a nice performance. The chart margin wound up to be just over 2 lengths.
Well, and it was interesting. I was a little surprised that they didn't look at this a little bit, because didn't Irad kind of bump a little bit with Luis Saez there at the 8th pole and kind of come together, but they didn't essentially think it was worth looking at. Part of the story that people were advertising coming into opening day was certainly D. Wayne Lucas back here with a string, and after missing a few years, and D. Wayne is resurgent. There's no doubt about it. And Summer Promise ran great. Eddie Keneally is very good with young horses. This from the very productive Clarkland farm, and Justify, who now has domestic stake winner and has a group winner abroad. Justify off to a tremendous start. He coming in even to the meet 4 for 10 with his first time starters. So there's been a lot of conversation about Bolt Doro, and rightly so. And he certainly had his products in these first 2-year-old stakes. Also, kind of under the radar to some extent, the Sharp Azteca story. Sharp Azteca is the leading 2-year-old first crop stallion with 9 winners, and might even been a 10th Thursday or Friday. So Sharp Azteca's babies have come out running. And then, of course, the Gervin story, starting with Damon's Mound, who's pointing for the Saratoga Special. I'll see Damon's Mound down at Colonial next week on Monday, give or take, and Michelle Lovell, who is absolutely loaded. Michelle's got her 2 big turf sprinters running on Monday at Colonial as well. So Gervin, Sharp Azteca, Justify, Bolt Doro, your leading 2-year-old sires.
We were also talking a little bit about the horse in the first, on the handicappers report earlier, about the horse in the first race by Army Mule, and we were kind of...
Well, that's my man.
Army Mule is going very well with his firsters as well.
Army Mule, a tremendous bargain sire out of Hillendale, and you can expect his horses to be precocious and ready early. And that's right, these are state breds this morning. I'm only half done, actually. After the show, I'll finish my write-up for Sunday. I concentrated on the second half of the card, just in case yesterday's pick six carryover went a third day. And frankly, it wouldn't have taken all that much really for it. I mean, $300,000, $299,000 and change for those must have been, I think, what, 9?
5 double digits and a $9 horse.
Well, but I mean 9 winners, 8 or 9 winners, I think.
There had to be. We were speculating this morning like 7 or 8, but yeah, right in that vicinity, I would think.
Right? Yeah.
It's just under 300,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was kind of wondering if maybe there'd be, the potential. So I'll get the rest of that work done.
Wanted to go back also watch a replay from opening day because the Wilton Stakes was the first race over the new Wilson chute, and I think we have it coming right out of the chute, and it will be Cherie DeVoe's horse Tarabi, looking pretty good. Gets it done by 3/4 of a length as the 6-5 favorite, but you can see him here coming out of that for the very first time, getting it done. They're still, I guess, trying to sort out what the maximum field size is going to be. I would guess somewhere between 8 and 10, but the jockeys are kind of talking that over a little bit. But I think there was a little buzz. I said going into this, if you're coming to the track, there'll be a little buzz in the facility as we lead into this race, the first time coming out of the chute. And I think just walking around the area there was a little bit of a buzz. People were looking forward to it. It's going to be fun to watch the first half dozen or so of these and see if there's some kind of handicapping angle we want to leap onto as far as pace or whatnot. But I think race number 1 out of the chute went very well with Tarabi getting it done in the Wilton on Thursday.
Well, congratulations to Cherie. And Tarabi was a horse that flashed talent as a 2-year-old. Took a little bit to kind of get her going this year as a 3-year-old, first Samurai daughter from Hinkle Farm. And, I think in terms of the way this is going to play, I think tactical speed, there's nothing magical really about, speculating on what to expect. You watch the way, and she was the 6-5 favorite, so it's not like...
I like Goddess of Fire. Goddess of Fire is going to be the number 1 horse here. Makes a nice little late run for Todd Pletcher coming out of the Kentucky Oaks.
Well, and she was also having to come out of the 1 hole.
Yeah.
And the biggest concern about this is the potential that the inside is going to be a little tricky for horses. They've got that temporary rail that they basically use as an extension, kind of an extension blinker for the horses to get them from turning left into the main part of the track. Goddess of Fire does get up for second here as the second choice at 3-1, and she's an off the pace type herself. So I don't think there was any harm in being in the 1 hole. It wasn't like she was crowded, but this went well. Javier Castellano, I thought, was part of the opening day story with the 3 wins.
Absolutely.
And somebody said to me yesterday, they said, "Oh, I'm so glad to see." Or I wish, what did he say? I wish Javier Castellano was riding today. I think he's semi-retired. I said, what are you talking about, semi-retired? He's not semi-retired. Stop. He, in fact, if anything, Javier's riding as good as he has in a long time. And it just feels like, he's getting live mounts again and riding with vigor. 3 wins to start the day. Opening day was everything you'd want. Main track played, I thought, very fair, and that even was true in the opener, Seth, when that rain came through, and you saw that the main track had moisture, real moisture for the opener. 9 furlongs here traditionally has been a front end play, and I thought, we're gonna get wire job here, and and in fact, he ended up with horses of every running style getting involved and having a good headlong finish with 3-4 horses. So main track seems to be playing very fair. I would keep an eye, as this good weather continues, keep an eye on how much the turf courses are giving it up for speed. I mean, that is a legitimate concern. We did have, well, you had Canisi wire in the in opening day, but you had plenty of horses stalk and pounce. 3 excellent days when it comes to that. We haven't had to. I don't think anybody has thrown the word unfair track or bias out there these first 72 hours.
No, I mentioned early in the week, it used to be, back in the day, the 2-turn races, you would latch on to speed, and then there would be that rainstorm that would come about a week or 10 days into the meet, and then you could kind of change your handicapping a little bit, but the track is composed a little bit differently now, so it's not as pronounced as it used to be. I just wanted to go back to the Coronation Cup as well, going back to Thursday, because I scratched it when Twilight Gleaming scratched out. I scratched into Empress Tigress, and we'll watch the I'm not sure if I called for the stretch run of that, but Empress Tigress got it done in the Coronation Cup at nice 7-2 price, got $9 and change. And I said when I was handicapping there, it's an Augustin stable runner, second career start. And I said I'd like the Augustin runners up here at Saratoga for many years, primarily with Jonathan Shepard. But Jonathan Thomas has picked up the mantle successfully, and so I got an Augustin runner at a little bit of a price on the second day of the meet.
And if did Jonathan, and if I'm not mistaken, Jonathan, they both spell their name without an H, right?
It. Yep.
They're both Jon,
Yep.
There you go. So it hasn't been much of a.
Yeah, no, it's a semi-transition.
It's funny you mentioned Empress Tigress. There's been a few winners these first few days, and we handicapped Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday on the radio, and so we discussed a lot of the races. There's been a few winners, including Empress Tigress, and there was a couple of others that Canisi, 7-2, Empress Tigress. There's been a few horses that have been, I don't want to call them universal good things, but horses that there had been plenty of discussion and plenty of leans, and they've delivered. One thing, I'll give you one interesting aside, and it's strictly circumstantial. It's not trend per se. These first 3 days, there have been horses in the nightcap, which have been, claimer, non-winner type races, and we had the second level New York bred allowance as the Friday. There's been horses that have looked like beach balls. Like if they ran their race, they're not losing. And in each case, they've been beaten, and good prices have won. Yesterday, you also had a situation that is a classic and a invaluable teaching moment. The AE. And it was too late, personally, for me yesterday to go back and make changes. But when that Joe Sharp horse drew in to the nightcap, and I wanted to be narrow in the nightcap. I mean, my ticket was blown out right away with Flamingo Hawk winning the first leg. When that horse won the nightcap at a nice price, right? 11-1, 10-1,
$23, yeah.
$23. I shook my head, and I was actually, Chuck Simon and I had headed out for dinner after the Sanford, so we didn't see the race live. But when I went and pulled it up, I absolutely said to myself, you have to go back, and even if when you handicapped you didn't think much of an AE, you got to go back and look again. And there's also the occasion a lot of times on the pages on the program where that AE or the AEs and the MTOs will be on the next page.
And that is always worth reiterating, because a lot of times what we're doing here, we're preaching to a newer fan, and it's worth keeping that in mind. It's worth keeping in mind the MTOs when they move to the main track. Don't ignore those horses. They can get away to price as well.
Well, Andy Serling is the absolute king of picking the horses that are being improperly bet off the turf races, and Seth is the king of the MTO. I don't know how many times you've cashed MTO exactas.
Just blindly box the MTOs sometimes, and you wind up with a great price.
Well, because you know these trainers, they're kind of smart. These guys, and when they enter a horse MTO, it's with a certain intent. But anyway, if you went back and looked this morning at that winner for Joe Sharp, if you didn't get a chance, Looking to Fly was absolutely logical and had a real opportunity in that nightcap. And you have to reevaluate. You know, the pace will change. You can get horses that come out that are going to affect the pace. And so maybe the closer that you liked in your first pass now is not going to necessarily get the same setup. There may be a horse that was going to, sit behind the pace that may inherit the lead. You have to basically clean the slate, go back after scratches, and make sure you look again.
Very good. Let's take another break. We'll come back. We'll check in and see if Brad Cox is on his way. If not, maybe we'll do a little handicapping when we come back.
Good.
Stay tuned. Loose on the Lead continues.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. You'll get live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform, and best of all, you get track prices. CapitalOTBBet.com. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Having trouble finding us? It's actually quite simple. Whether online or on your TV, it's never been easier to watch and wager on championship horse racing with Capital OTB. Simply log on to CapitalOTBBet.com. There you can watch our morning shows, live stream races, and wager on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. You can also watch from the comfort of your home on Spectrum Cable Channel 1250 or Fios Channel 467, and win more with Capital OTB. Welcome back to Loose on the Lead. Seth, Merrow, and Steve Bick here, kicking things off on this opening week Sunday, wrapping up the week. And again, I will tout, we talked about the Beat the Bick contest. I'll also tout the Low Rollers comes back. I'm going to jump over and have a little Low Rollers fun.
The king of the Low Rollers.
By the 4-star day bar. You give them $40. They keep $10 for the prize pool. You get a $30 betting card. You have to make $5 $2 win, place, and show bets during the day. You keep all the money that's on your card. But if you're the leader, you get the top prize, and they pay down to 7 or 8, depending on how many people in the contest. It's a lot of fun. I've told people over the years to try. People are reluctant. I'm not really a contest. And then when they jump in, boom, they're all thumbs up, and they're on it. It's a lot of fun. You have to think a little differently, find some value, so I think it helps your handicapping.
Well, and it's an easy, painless way to wade into contest play. And in addition, two days a week, Thursday and Sunday. Thursday and Sunday, the Low Rollers. Saturday, you have the $300 contest, NYRA bets, and on site. $300, $200 bankroll, $100 goes to the prize pool, and I haven't looked yet to see who won yesterday. I do want to slip in a handicapping idea suggestion. It's very funny. I ran into Eddie Barker, and Eddie, like me, is a Thorograph user. Thorograph, one of our longtime advertisers on the show, and a longtime supporter of At the Races. The horse yesterday of Chad's, Shutters, that won that 5th race allowance.
When we were in here doing the handicappers report yesterday, I put the horse on top, and Anthony Moreno said, "I'll be salivating at 5-1," and I said 6-1, even better.
6-1 was even better, and showed Eddie something on Thorograph, and I probably should have sent this picture in so you all could look at it yourselves. But if you happen to be a Thorograph user, and it doesn't, and even if you're not, this can just be again a helpful kind of an earworm suggestion. Here's a horse that was making his 4-year-old debut. And this is a concept for me, Seth, that is true of any horse making a seasonal debut at age 3, 4, or 5, pretty much, until maturity. Horses reach maturity at age 5. This was an absolute classic case where a horse left the scene as, in this case, a 3-year-old, made 2 starts at 3 at Saratoga, and then broke the maiden at Belmont. The New York breds, long on the turf, my longtime favorite betting opportunity, not just here, but at Aqueduct and Belmont too. But people see certain figures, if you're a speed handicapper in particular, and you're using performance figures, Thorograph, Ragozin, Briz, Bayer, Timeform U, whatever. You see a horse that left at a certain level. October is far in the rearview mirror now. I mean, you're talking about a horse that's been gone 8, 9 months. He is not coming back at the same level. People say, well, he might need one off the break. Even if he needs one off the break, he is a better horse now, especially if he's coming back in the barn of someone like Chad Brown. He's a better horse now than when you saw him as a 3-year-old. So even if he's giving up experience and giving up recency to these other horses, if you project the natural development from 2 to 3, from 3 to 4, from 4 to 5, you can put a horse like this in your number, or you can key off. I put shutters on top for just that reason, and I'm mentioning the Thorograph index that basically measures the progeny of a stallion. In this case, we're talking about Get Stormy, the Crestwood value stallion. The index, the average that Get Stormy progeny run on Thorograph as 2-year-olds is a 23. As 3-year-olds, an 18.5. And as a 4-year-old, a 15.5. And as a mature horse, 13.5. And those are basically lengths. Each point represents a length in the Thorograph scale. So in this case, you could project 4.5 points or 4.5 lengths worth of improvement as a 4-year-old shutters versus a 3-year-old shutters. And so to get 6 to 1 on a horse like this is a rare opportunity. It's so tough these days to get, to find any edge. And I'll add one other thing. If I'm not mistaken, I'd have to go back and look at the DRF Clocker report. I think Shutters had a big note. I think had a big workout note on top of that. So, the littlest things.
That's an angle I talk about quite a bit. A lightly raced 2-year-old who's had some time off, now comes back as a 3-year-old, or even a lightly raced 4-year-old who hasn't been seen since a 3-year-old season. You get that 6 months off, they can come back and often do come back improved, and yet that gives you something that's not necessarily on the page that can lead into some odds that pay off.
Exactly. I mean, it's also, you made me think of Steve Davidowitz, the late Steve Davidowitz in betting thoroughbreds. Steve has a somewhat similar or a corollary in terms of Triple Crown season horses that then get some time off between, let's say, April or May, and then coming back, let's say, in the summer, and maybe in the regional derbies and so forth. We saw this actually in Indiana with a horse like Actuator. Davidowitz went back and found all kinds of evidence how overbet the familiar Triple Crown season runners are. The ones that ran at fairgrounds, and the Risen Star, the Louisiana Derby, the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, the horses that ran anywhere regionally in those races and developed a following and an expectation. Then everybody shrugs off the Derby result, especially this year, and then those horses get bet. And that's a similar scenario. There's horses like last week with Actuator, the Michael McCarthy winner of the Indiana Derby, that is a horse that was not ready for the Triple Crown season, and then is ready to flex the muscles against that kind of competition. And we'll see that here. We'll see what happens next week in the Haskell, where it's boiling down to a really good scenario with Jack Christopher, Taba, Cyberknife. It's very interesting.
Second half of the 3-year-old season is going to be a lot of fun because nothing came out of the first half to find. But I thought Charge It looked good, really good.
Charges, that was scary.
Yeah, so the second half of the season with Haskell, Jim Dandy, Travers, and then Pennsylvania Derby. Yeah, let's Brad said he's headed our way, so he'll be here momentarily, I think. But before we do that, maybe a quick look at that 7th race where you had your play of the day, because my dark horse play of the day was in there as well. I'm taking a little pop. I have the horse down in the 4th spot, but at 12-1, Lady Thornhill, off a seasonal debut that I think was a tough. It came back, broke the maiden at the end of last year, then waited for the turf season, came back in an allowance race and tossed in a little bit of a dud, but showed some pace early. But that's a tough move, made special weight to allowance to begin with. So off the layoff, I think Jose Ortiz jumping back on board. I think at 12-1, she's very playable. And now, with your play of the day being at 10-1, I'll have that one in my exacta mix as well.
Well, there is countless opportunity in here. And really, any superfecta combination will not be a surprise. Joe Sharp on the rail with I'm Fine. Just Okay is Not Okay. Here's another case we just talked about. Just Okay is Not Okay. Horacio De Paz, who is absolutely an assassin. I mean, a guy that is deadly. He has taken over this Barry Schwartz homebred from Pletcher, last seen at Belmont in September. So here's a horse, again, that has been away essentially for 9 months. And let's take a look at English Channel, and let's see what his progeny, how they develop from 3 to 4. Average is 14.5 on Thorograph, 11 3/4 as a 4-year-old. So you could project 3 points of improvement. Just Okay is Not Okay. She set her career best with an 11 3/4 in that maiden breaker, which came at Belmont last June. You essentially, you basically acknowledge that a horse's best is an established. That's why they call it, the top. If she improves off that top 3 points, she's not just as good as anybody. She can win this, and you're looking at 6-1 on her. Bella Princessa. I've already made the case for her from Bobby Caceres. This is that one that Charlie Baker bred. That's out of that mare.
Oh, right,
he's got.
right. Okay.
Yeah. There's one after another. Clement has got Eugenia, who's probably going to go favored. You mentioned Lady Thornhill. Chad brings back second off the layoff, Russia. Master of the Tunes is a mare that I bet down at Belmont and kind of disappointed me going back to that stretch out to the 1 1/8. So there's a lot going on in this group, as there always is. I've made this, you've heard me make this point for years. Long on the grass, New York bred, male or female, maiden special through any other division, they are so closely bunched. The 12 and 15-1s are only a length or two away from the favorites. So never be afraid to take a price in these spots.
That was your play of the day score angle last year. You hit on
it'll be repeatedly. Yeah. I'll go back to that. One after the other. Listen, the horse that ran the other day, I made the opening day play of the day. I did not expect that one to go to the lead. That surprised me, and she got swallowed up.
All right, we see him out in the green room, as it were. Brad Cox is here, so we'll go a little over. We'll pull Brad in and talk a little about his win yesterday, some of the horses he has coming up. So stay tuned. Plenty of action still to go on.
Bonus coverage!
LA bonus coverage. Stay with us.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. You'll get live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform, and best of all, you get track prices. CapitalOTBBet.com. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Having trouble finding us? It's actually quite simple. Whether online or on your TV, it's never been easier to watch and wager on championship horse racing with Capital OTB. Simply log on to CapitalOTBBet.com. There you can watch our morning shows, live stream races, and wager on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. You can also watch from the comfort of your home on Spectrum Cable Channel 1250 or Fios Channel 467, and win more with Capital OTB.
Welcome back to Loose on the Lead. As promised before the break, we are joined now by Trainer Brad Cox. Nice win yesterday in the Sanford. We'll talk about that and much, much more. Brad, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, happy to have you on. And why don't we get right into it? Why don't we take a look at the nice win yesterday? We're going to look at Most Strike getting it done in yesterday's Sanford. Most Strike will be the number 6 horse here. Number 3, Great Navigator, runs second, and Andiamo Alferenzi runs third, but the chart margin winds up to be over 3 lengths at 8-1. Florent Giraud on board. This was a very nice performance. Second career start. Won the debut down at Churchill. What were your thoughts coming out of the Churchill victory? And was the game plan to come here out of that victory? And then what were your thoughts on yesterday's race?
Well, you ran big first time out. Very proud of the effort. And, we circled this race. We obviously wanted to see how he came out of the Churchill effort. And great. He came out of it great. He had a nice, easy half mile by himself a couple weeks after the race there, and then followed it up last week with a really good move there at Churchill. I was really happy with what we saw and thought, this is the right move. I actually wanted to keep him at home there at Churchill, make sure we felt like we had him exactly where we wanted him in order to ship him up here and take a chance. And
yeah, he had to work on the 9th down there at Churchill.
Yeah, it was a good move, really good move.
And Ocala purchase, were you a part of the purchase team?
No, actually I was not. The horse was bought after he was purchased. I was had a cell phone call about taking him. And it worked out. First horse I believe the owners had here in the U.S.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's he's got off to a good start, and I think he has some horses obviously in Saudi Arabia, and once again he's off to a good start here in America, and I'm hopefully sure he'll be active at the sales moving forward.
How did he come out of it?
Really good. He actually looked fantastic this morning. He's a very intelligent horse. I've said that a couple different times, and he has a good mind. Florent really likes him. He's worked him several times there every morning. But once again, he's a horse that we started at Keeneland. He gives the confidence. Transferred him over to Churchill, and he's done everything we've asked of him. And once again, good mind. Physically, he's held up, and excited about his future. Hopefully, I think the smart thing with him moving forward would probably be look at the hopeful and just leave him up here all summer, let him enjoy the weather, and let him continue to settle in, and take a big swing in a grade 1 at the end of the meet.
Very good. Always like to ask you, say, let them stay up here during the summer. I always like to ask how the horses appreciate being at Saratoga, because the people appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This place is it's magic. I mean, I found that out last year with obviously brought a very good group of horses, but there's no place that appreciates racing like Saratoga. I mean, it's if you think there's a better place, come to the races one day. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a Wednesday or a Saturday. It's just there's nothing like it.
I always say, and I've said it probably a dozen times already here this year, the track is great, and that's what we're all here for, but what makes Saratoga so special is outside the fences, because you're downtown. People are talking about the exacta they played today, the double they're playing tomorrow. Everybody's totally into it.
Yeah, that's it. It's it's racing from downtown to the racetrack, bottom line.
No question about it. Steve?
There's a few things about this horse and about this group. First of all, 85 buyer, if you hadn't seen the thing.
Oh, there we go.
I did.
You did. 85. Sometimes I send them to you, and nice. That's a very good natural next step. The dam jumped off the page at me. I did not actually take any part of Mo Strike yesterday, but certainly that dam, who Todd Pletcher trained, and arguably her best career performance came on this racetrack, winning the weekend surprise going back, and that did register with me when I saw Feather Bed. But great way to start the meet, and to be honest, this kind of win takes a little bit of the sting out of Set Piece's just maniacally difficult trip the day before.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It does. It's kind of the way it balances itself out in racing. There's times it works out, times it doesn't, and obviously Set Piece. It was a little tough watching the race. Listen, I knew bringing him up here, running him a mile on the turf, it would be a little tough to get him up. It's the inner turf. It's tight turns, speed does well, and just with his running style, you can't change anything. You just got to let him do his thing, and it just didn't work out. I felt like he would have been right there with a clean trip, and he's another one that will let him enjoy the summer here at Saratoga and look at either the 4-Star Dave or the Bernard Baruch or something along those lines, and go from there. If we come back in the 4-Star Dave, we're gonna we could very, very easily end up maybe with some traffic trouble again if it's a big field. If it's not, maybe we look at the 4-Star Dave. If not, maybe turn our attention toward the Bernard Baruch at the end of the meet.
You talking about Set Piece and the Forbidden Apple from Friday, it makes me want to bring up the odd August turf stake card at Churchill. What is your thoughts on what went on there, the end of the meet with the turf course, and how it's going to resolve itself?
Well, I think Churchill made the right decision. They allowed some horses to go out and train on it there. We were obviously very disappointed. That's originally where we were pointing Set Piece for, was the Wise Dan. He'd won it the year before. We thought it was a race that set up well with trying to come back in the 4-Star Dave. It's unfortunate for him, but it balanced itself out throughout the month of June with the races being taken off. It allowed us to run some more horses that we felt needed to run on the dirt. It is what it is. Once again, I think it was the right decision. They allowed some horses to train. It didn't hold up the way they wanted, so it wasn't going to hold up the racing. Moving forward, I saw it last week. It looked like it was definitely turning the right color, green.
Really? The golden yellow, like Seth's tie? That's not what we wanted?
It's not. It's definitely going the right way in regards to color. But hopefully they can get it squared away, and we'll have a good card on August 13th. Looking forward to hopefully participating in some of those races, and we'll have a good turf course to run on.
Are you pointing anybody for that set?
There's a possibility we could have a 3-year-old filly turn her loose. We may put her back on the turf. That's a possibility. But honestly, right now we're a little light in the turf department. Set Piece, Arklow. We have a couple others, but we're pretty light in the turf division right now.
Arklow's what, 14 now?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what is it?
Well, I'll tell you what,
Arklow?
He looked great out on the turf course. That's one reason why I'm late getting over here. I watched him breeze on the turf.
Nice.
And he went great. He was 101-3 this morning. he physically looks amazing. And he runs well off layoffs. We're pointing for the Bowling Green here. We're trying to get a run into him before Kentucky Downs.
Yep.
So he does run well off layoffs. He ran extremely well a couple years back in the Man of War at Belmont. Nearly won it, and he won the little handicap last year off the layoffs. So he's a horse that, he's a big, heavy horse, but he does run well off layoffs.
Turner Loose, of course, the Thrash's shocking winner at Fairgrounds. That was in the Rachel. That was something. Everybody was a little bewildered.
Yeah.
What was that? I forgot the price now.
Yeah, I did too. I wouldn't have if I'd have bet on her, but I didn't bet on her. So that's the way it goes. But she did show up and run big that day, and she actually ran a pretty good race in the Kentucky Oaks.
Yeah.
Gave her just a little freshening afterwards. Kept her in the barn, but freshened her up a little bit, and she's responded well.
Why, out of curiosity, why the consideration of the grass at this point? I forget her breeding.
She's a Nyquist, but she won at Kentucky Downs last year. She broke her maiden on the turf at Ellis, and then she won a $500,000 race at Kentucky Downs. And then she was favored in the Jessamine, I believe.
Okay.
And she was, I think, third, beaten a short ways, and then we Breeders' Cup and didn't work out.
Was the Rachel? Was the
first dirt race?
It was the first dirt.
Yes. So we did, and then she ran okay in the Fairgrounds Oaks, and then we obviously went on to the Kentucky Oaks.
Well, that race also featured the crazy Echo Zulu, right? That pulled up, and it was there was a lot going on. But I tell you what, she was winning that race with or without Echo Zulu.
Yeah. No, she ran well that day.
Let's touch on some horses that have been winners for you recently, and maybe they had Saratoga potential. I'll go back last week to the Indiana Oaks Interstate Daydream. We're going to take a look at the replay there. It's going to be the number 5 horse getting it done. This was a nice win for her, coming out of that win previously at Pimlico. Went off at a short price here. What were your thoughts on this race, and what might be the game plan going forward for Interstate Daydream?
A big run. She responded well. At top of the lane, I thought we were.
You were in a fight.
Yeah, we were. I mean, to be as short of a price as she was, but you could see she really responded when Florent asked her, and she ended up winning. Off by 2 or 3 lengths, and galloped out well and bounced out of it in good order. She's a filly. She's not a real big filly, so she's one that we like to give a little bit of time between races. 6-7 weeks is always ideal. We may look at trying to get her to the Cotillion. I don't know exactly how we get there, but I think that might be a realistic shot or opportunity at a Grade 1 for.
So you say how do you get? You thinking of something in between?
It's possible. We'll just watch her and kind of let her tell us if she needs a race between now and then. But she trains well enough. She breezes well enough to feel comfortable running her. 7-8 weeks in between.
A little bit older on the female side. She Dares the Devil, winning the Fleur de Lis back on July 2nd down at Churchill, and that was a victory. Pauline's Pearl ran third in there as the favorite at 7-5. You guys were also 7-5, but on the money bet, Pauline's Pearl slightly favored, but She Dares the Devil, really talented runner, as I say, getting it done in the Fleur de Lis. Again, your impressions here. What are we looking for going forward?
Big run. This is her third run off the layoff, third run this year, and it was off the layoff. It was a nice race. I was glad to see her get back in the win column. She'd run 2 really good races this year, third in the Azeri and then second in the La Troyenne. So it was a big win. We were going to look at the Clemendale Hirsch. She won that last year at Del Mar. That's an option. We're preparing for that right now. And plan B would be bring her here for the Purcell Ensign, but right now it looks like we're going to head to Del Mar with her. She likes it out there. We need a race between. We actually need 2 races to get to the Breeders' Cup, and I think this makes the most sense right now.
I got a couple of 3-year-olds to look at too. The Ohio Derby and Tawnyport. Tawnyport will be the number 7, and we'll go back and we'll look at the Matt win as well. Number 6, Cyberknife gets it done. So talk a little bit about the 3-year-old performances. Tawnyport, Cyberknife, and again, what's up for them in a 3-year-old division that I've been saying for a few weeks now was undefined in the first part of the season. I think things are going to really get exciting here as we get into the middle and later portion of the summer. But this is Tawnyport in the Ohio Derby.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the group's really starting to take shape, and good horses are starting to really come out of it. I think this horse is going to I'm hopeful he'll be in the mix. He breezed here this morning with IRAD, breezed extremely well. We're pointing him for the Jim Dandy. He's it's almost like he has a new lease on life since the Kentucky Derby. We did an awful lot with this horse this spring too. We asked him to run a Turfway.
That's right.
Followed it up back in 14 days, I think, in the Lexington, 3 weeks Kentucky
That was the
Derby.
point. You were chasing points still, right?
We were, but
Yeah.
you know, at that point I was talking to John Ford about it, and I give him all the credit for running the Lexington, because I told him, I said, you're going to get in. I've seen this happen several times.
Yeah.
You know, horses go by the wayside, but you'll get in. He said, nah, let's run. I said, well, he's doing good. I don't mind running him, and we did. It worked out. Followed it up with a big run in the Derby, and you know, then we took a deep breath. Believe me, the way I was tempted to maybe want to try the Belmont with him, but I thought, you know, I've done a lot with him. Let's just back up, wait a couple more weeks, and go to the Ohio Derby, and hopefully it'll pay off in the long run. And I think it is, because the horse since then's done really well. He breezed on the Oklahoma training track last week, really, really good move, and followed it up on the main track this morning with a huge move. So I think he's set up for a big run here, and I think the Jim Dandy is going to be a really good race, and I think he's going to be in the mix. I really do believe that.
And Steve, of course, buddies with the owner of Cyberknife. Why don't we take a look at that one
With
as
Al
well?
Gold, and he's trying to make this Haskell on Saturday, and what it would mean to Al. Not that a Derby win wouldn't have been great, but Al winning the Haskell would be, I mean, very similar to what the Rapoli storyline was regarding the Belmont.
Yeah.
I mean, Al grew up at Monmouth, and it would mean the world to him.
Yeah, no, he's a good colt. He's doing extremely well. He's another one that came out of the Derby and actually moved forward, it seems like. He and Tawny Port both, you know, were able to pick off victories after the Kentucky Derby. It didn't take too much out of him. He was part of a hot pace. I think Florent kind of wrapping up on him late in the Kentucky Derby when he wasn't going to get a placing kind of helped, you know, save him. I mean, you know, it worked out well. So he responded well there in the Matt win. He was able to, you know, come on the right end of a photo, and I thought battled with a really good horse, and a horse that obviously loves Churchill and Howling Time. I believe he's coming back as well in the Haskell. But Cyberknife's doing well. We're going to ship him from Churchill. He had a big move yesterday morning, cooled out great, and he's going to move midweek. He's going to ship to Monmouth for the Haskell.
I want to ask you, the horse that won the Pegasus,
Homebrew. West Virginia Derby is what we're. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, I think it makes the most sense with his figures and how he's, you know, he's a nice horse, and I think, you know, what time will do him some good between races, and he's a horse that's getting better as he goes.
All right, well, because, you know, I hope you checked with Steve Asmussen, because he wins that every year. So, you know, with some horse off the deep bench.
Yeah, we've struggled. We've second and third a couple times in West Virginia, but
well, it's a funky place. I mean,
yeah.
it's not a track that. But Charleston too. They're just not. They're not for every. The horses some horses get there and love it. It's like running at Delta on that sand course.
Yeah.
One horse that we got to bring up that hasn't won, but may end up by the end of this year or early next year as your best class of 22 horse. Best actor. What's next?
You know, we haven't zeroed in on anything. He's a horse we may try to take to Pennsylvania and look at the Smarty Jones with.
Kind of ease him
exactly.
More down the.
Yeah, he lacks seasoning.
Okay.
Only having 3 runs. We've thrown a lot at him quick.
And he's responded.
Yeah, he has. He hasn't switched leads in his last 2 races. Physically, I mean, he's fine. He's a sound horse. He's just, you know, he's a young horse. He's still trying to figure it out mentally. But he's a good colt. He really is, and I think distance is no issue with him. Thought he ran a really good race. He stumbled. I think the stumble really cost him in Indiana. I think if he gets away cleaner and a little bit, you know, better trip, I think he's right there. But, you know, we may have learned more running second the other day.
That's what happens.
From off the pace as opposed to, you know, breaking, being on the lead, and just going the whole way. So I think we found out the other day he is definitely a quality horse. His numbers stack up with some good 3-year-olds, and, you know, I think he's got a couple moves forward in him, and if he does, he's going to be a player in the division.
We got to wrap up, but I want to get in one more horse, NYRA, winning the Acorn a few weeks back. What's up for?
She's doing well. We're pointing for the test. She had a move this morning early. It was a little slow by herself. It was fine. It was like 5/8 and 103, but she'll be in company next week, 2 weeks out. We'll do a little more with her. She looks amazing. She's really come out of the Acorn in good order. Excited about giving her an opportunity. The cut back from 1 mile to 7/8, I think, will be right what she wants, what she wants to do. I think that's the perfect distance for her, and she physically looks amazing right now. So I think we're set up for a big run in the test.
Excellent.
One other, Caravel, who you've straightened out and picked her head up, Troy.
Caress next
The
week.
Caress, not
Yes,
the Troy.
Yeah, the Caress next weekend.
Caress, there you go.
That's one reason I'm late. Was watching her breeze on the turf, and she went fantastic.
Nice.
Really, really good.
No, you kind of, she kind of fishtailed and is back together. The 2-year-old you want everybody to look forward to seeing.
Wow. We have a couple.
Name
You
one.
need names.
Name one.
Well, I tell you, for coming up, I think Key of Life.
Key of Life?
Yeah, she was third, a troubled third, bad start. Hopped at the start. She breezed really well here yesterday morning, and if all goes well, we may see her in a maiden race next weekend here at Saratoga. But she's got some speed and the quality, I think, that can win here at Saratoga.
Well, you're also hiding some at Ellis. Who do we watch for at Ellis?
Well, we did get off the duck yesterday there with the 2-year-old, a nice colt. But I think we've got a good group of colts and fillies that will be better later on. They're probably more meant to be 2-turn colts and fillies, but overall, I think we got the best group we've ever had of young horses for sure.
That was Bourbon Spirit.
Yeah, Bourbon Spirit, nice colt. And look, I mean, I don't want to say too much, but Mandaloon's got a full brother for Juddmonte. He acts like he's a good colt as well. I mean, we haven't breezed him out of the gate, but I mean, from a physical standpoint, they don't really make him any better. I mean, he's a beautiful horse.
Mandaloon move forward off the comebacker?
Mandaloon breezed fantastic yesterday. I thought his race actually was good. He set close to a hot pace.
And Stephen Foster.
Yeah, and the Stephen Foster. Olympiad's obviously a top horse.
Unless he's facing Baby Yoda.
Yeah, and I'm hopeful that we can use that as a fitness tool to Mile and Nathan Churchill move forward off that.
Excellent. Brad, we appreciate the visit. Hopefully everybody appreciated the bonus coverage, but we have to wrap it up. Nice start to the meet. Congratulations on the stakes win yesterday, and good luck going forward as well.
Bonus coverage starts with letters B and C, right?
There you go. Very good. All right, Seth Merrow, Steve Vick, Loose on the Lead. This was day 1 of Loose on the Lead. Day 4 of the track. Come on up and enjoy it. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful day with a nice card, so make a little money. We'll see you next week on Loose on the Lead. As far as me, I'll be back in on Wednesday morning for the Handicappers Report, so I'll see you then. Thanks for tuning in, and enjoy the races.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.